pronunciation checks because this is the Chaotic Neutrals podcast where we fumble over everything we possibly can getting ready for our streams, apparently. I'm your host, Annie Mae, and this is our other host, Matt. Say hello.
Hi, and that is not a lie. We fumble everything.
Tonight has been a mess. But
Complete roller coaster.
tonight we're also going to be discussing our processes of character creation in D&D because that is a fun little thing that we love to do here in the podcast of chaos and neutralism. I don't know actually know how to
Neutrality.
neutrality. That's it. That's the word. Anyway, that's the word. So whatever. We're talking about character creation because Matt, I don't actually know how often you create characters, but back in the day, I did that quite a lot before I was DM and had a job and was busy with my own personal projects. Whenever I had a bunch of spare time, I would just sit there and create a bunch of D&D characters for the fun of it. I haven't used a single one, but
I did the same thing. I'd sit here and just create them on D&D Beyond, and then just delete them afterwards because I'll never play them.
yeah. Well, I definitely have looks like 30, maybe 40 characters just saved away in a file on my computer. So I've created a lot of characters. So I know the character.
Oh my lord!
I know the character creation process pretty well. So
That's for sure.
yeah. So I guess maybe to start off, I'll go through my process of character creation because it's I think it's a little different from what people normally think of. I think we discussed this last week or last
Yeah, when we
stream.
were doing class race combinations.
Yeah, but my system of character creation is basically class last almost always, and I'll do the race, background, and stats first.
Mm-hmm.
Stats stats isn't quite as set in stone, but typically that's how it is. And reason I do that is because I don't like building a character based off of their function. I like building a character based off of their character, which is why they're called characters. They're called characters for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They need character. So that's why I start with the race and the background first, and the backstory. For me, the main thing is the race because that is like the main defining feature for how they're going to function within the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because races do
Mm-hmm.
have specific stereotypes that go with them. Whether people like that or not, that's a debate we can have another time. But D&D associates, specific stereotypes with different with different races. Orcs are a bit dumber, stronger, more brooding, intimidating, while the
Mm-hmm.
the halfling is a bit more charismatic, loud, happy, cheery, upbeat.
I don't mean to interrupt this, but I bought the I know it's completely off topic, but chaotic neutrals here. Um, I have the Dungeons and Dragons official cookbook. It, in the cookbook, it's called Archon the Black's Halfling Chili. Dragonborns eat halfling as a legit part of their natural cuisine.
Sorry? What did you just say?
The book says halfling is the staple part of dragonborn cuisine.
Okay. Um.
I'm not joking. It's
Im-
true.
Important note for future reference: do not uh collide halfling and dragonborn um societies.
I- I'll have to get the book out next week. It's out in the garage from when we moved.
Oh Lord. Like, okay, I actually saw that book at a library at one point, or a bookstore. Almost bought it, but it was a little too pricey for me.
Oh, the food in it is so good. I made several of the dishes, and one of my favorites is the traveler's stew and the miner's pie, which is basically just shepherd's pie, but turned dwarven because it's in D&D cookbook.
Yeah, obviously. But
Anyway,
getting
we
back
can
on
continue
topic.
on.
Yeah, getting back on topic. Yeah, races are very stereotyped in D&D for better or worse, and as a result, I play into those stereotypes as best I can. Or I play against them if it seems like that would be a better idea at the time, right? Based off of my mood. But I basically use the race to try to get my idea of how the world will, or how my character will interact with the world, and then I move on to the uh, background. Goodness, I'm pretty tired tonight. I keep yawning. My apologies, but I move on to the background in order to figure out what my character did before they became an adventurer or whatever, you know. So, which is what the background exactly is. That's what it's described as. But I use it. I find it very important because it's like this is my character's occupation before they became an adventurer. Adventurer is an occupation in D&D, you know. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I forgot to mention the disclaimer to the stream and video. Uh, Open window beside the road beside me. Lots of cars back and forth.
Yes.
So forgive, but yeah. The background plays a very important role as it's your occupation before the occupation of adventurer. So, you know, knowing what your character is capable of is very important. Like, my current character, the most recent character I've created, is a City Watch character. And
Mm.
he used to serve loyally, like, to a fault, this city as a soldier and a guard. And after he left, I figured, well, he would probably have this City Watch background, and that hasn't come into play yet. But he is a. It has come into play subtly through his level of observation, where he's just very observant of everything, the entire world around him. He's constantly watching out for danger, making sure everything is in place, that nothing seems out of the ordinary, and that's very important, you know, for a character to have
Mhm.
where they come from, where are they now, and where are they trying to get, you know?
Mhm.
And that's why race typically, or class typically comes last for me, because when you have your class, once you, if you settle with your class first, you've already locked them heavily into various stereotypes that
Yeah.
then limit your creative process, right?
Mhm.
For example, I chose Ranger for the character I was talking about, and he, like, Ranger doesn't really seem like a city watch, you know? I mean, it definitely can, but not many people associate Ranger and City Watch. Most people would say, oh, if he's a City Watch, then he must be a fighter. Mm-mm. No, that's not how it works with my characters. So, but because I would have, if I had chosen Ranger first, which I think I technically did because other reasons, but like, if I were to do this the normal way, if I would chose Ranger first and just go off of all the stereotypes of Ranger, well, that would have led into a lot of very rigid
Yeah.
choices. Like I probably just would have gone, I probably would have gone Wood Elf or I don't know, Eldrin Elf. You know, like what else is there to choose?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Elf, maybe Aarakocra, but I probably would have gone with an elf because that's stereotypical ranger. And then after that, for the background, far traveler, uh, outlander, you know, those two
Mm-hmm.
are the stereotypical ranger backgrounds, and for a while that's what I would use. Also hermit. Hermit also works, you know. So, if you start with your
I'd also.
class, if you start with your class, you just have these various options and choices that just fall perfectly into place with the class. But if you choose your race and background first, neither of those really have anything to do with each other, for the most part. And as a result, I mean, unless you're picking like dwarf and clan, or like guild artisan or clan crafter or whatever, then at that
Mm-hmm.
point you're kind of like, I mean, it's pretty obvious what you're going for. But
Yeah.
you know, most of the time your race and background don't have much to do with each other, if anything. So your class is really affected by the combination of your race and background, which I think is a far more
Yeah.
interesting way of doing it. And then if you roll your stats before you pick your class, which I actually vehicles. Um, Typically before I don't think I normally roll my stats before my class, but still, if you roll your stats before your class and pick your race and your background, do all those three before your class, then your class is going to be far more defined by the three more core character traits. Basically, your class is just there to act as the outlet to help you gamify, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
character, but it's just there to put it into the game system. It's not actually there to define your character any more than what their basic abilities would be. And that's why classes are so customizable to an extent. Like, they're not super customizable, but they're pretty customizable, especially with multiclassing, because, I mean, no character is going to fit perfectly into the stereotype of any class, which is why you've got so
I
many subclasses and the various options.
I haven't even thought about ever trying into figure out multi-classing yet. That's still all new to me, and I have not even touched any of that yet.
I know, right? I feel like I don't need to because of all the subclasses and different class, race,
Right?
background to stat combos. I'm like, I don't ever need it. Plus magical items and feats. I'm like, I can theoretically multiclass without multiclassing using feats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like magic initiate, I'm like, if I just take the various magic initiate feats and then like arcane uh fighter or arcane trickster, eldritch knight or
Mm-hmm.
arcane trickster
Mm-hmm.
rogue, then I'm like, I'm essentially uh I'm essentially multiclassing at this point, you know?
Pretty much.
What about you? How do you build your characters?
Um, how do I build my characters? Well, generally, I choose a class that I want to play that I haven't tried yet. There are several still, and then I decide, okay, what race do I want? I don't necessarily pay much attention to like their racial stat bonuses much.
Hmm.
I just tend to make the character I want to play with the race I want to play that I haven't tried yet. The
Yeah.
most recent character I made was a variant human. I've never made a human character that I can remember.
Huh.
Never made a human character, and I think I played like a fighter once for like 5 minutes, and that was it.
Uh,
So,
I
so
play.
I created a human fighter at level 10 with the subclass of subclass of. Let me go back and look.
Quick note.
Oh, Battlemaster.
Ah, I've only ever played one human fighter, and they were an inventor, so they were very different from the normal human fighter stereotype.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I set him at level 10 just because of our campaign, because it was a character maybe I was thinking about just having thrown in somewhere along the lines,
Ah,
if
yes.
that was all right. Um, but a battle master, human variant fighter. I rolled really well on his stats, but I can always re-roll him again for if I ever add him. If you let me add him in at any point.
I mean, if you ever feel like
Um,
Caldor's not doing anything and you want to do more, just go right ahead.
yeah,
Just let me know ahead of time.
Caldor's just making maps, so he's just gonna be there in the background making maps while everybody's doing their thing, and it's just like, he's just it's getting a little I don't want to say boring. Boring's not necessarily a thing.
Uneventful.
It's getting long-winded for the map making, and because maps take a while to make. They're
Yes.
drawn by hand anyway, so I might switch that up. While Caldor's working doing that, have Lucius out and about,
Well, not to spoil
because
anything, but I do also have other plans as well that I do intend to put in motion fairly soon, which will involve, but some of them will involve Caldor.
okay.
So I'm not intending to leave anybody alone, just sitting there bored out of
Oh
their
yeah, yeah,
minds, making maps or trying to solve mysteries that aren't going anywhere.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I'd like to add him to it. Um, I rolled his stats really well. Um, and with the couple items that he's pretty good. He's got the soldier background. I have created a backstory. I have issues with backstories and creative writing,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah, any backstory I write can be pretty basic and pretty dry.
hmm Well, not every character needs
But
to be a full novel.
right, a full 180-page essay.
Yeah. Ugh.
I guess one of the other characters I've created that I used a lot recently, up until I switched, was his name was Cormal Threadbreaker. It was just a random name generator that I had gave me. So I'm like, you know what? I like that.
Hmm.
He was a Goliath monk, Way of the Drunken Master. Only level 6 though, but yeah, a Goliath monk.
Hmm.
He was statted out pretty well too for rolls. It's funny when I roll for stats, my stats are always pretty high, and I rarely get anything below an 11.
Hmm.
And that's like rolling it on roll 20 or even using the roller on D&D Beyond. It's weird, but yeah,
RNG's is
I
his best
thought
too.
very much so. But yeah, I my whole thing is I choose the class what I want to what I haven't played, and then I choose a race that I haven't played. I don't look at their racial attributes too terribly much, and then I just pick the background off there. What I want, basically it's the background, the profession, where they came from, sort of thing. So that's why I picked soldier for Lucius, and I think Cormal has what's his background? Where is it? Yeah, he was a clan crafter sort of thing, but he was clan crafter, but he was mostly the cook. He was really good at cooking,
Hmm.
and then he decided, this is getting stale. I would like to go out and explore, and that's where it went from there.
It's getting stale, like the potato chips he had made last week.
Yes.
I am not proud of that joke.
Funnier than it should have been.
Yeah, at least I can make a joke at all. At least I know how. But yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, no, now we just went off this topic.
I guess there is the matter of when do you fit in your background and what do you do once you've chosen your class, like, and I guess background would be for me more important, or backstory, I mean. Building a character for me, I guess technically the first step, because I went on it on a technical basis, but technically what I do, you know, of everything,
Mm-hmm.
I more often than not get the inspiration for the character before I pick any of the mechanical features, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pick a race, I don't pick a background, I don't roll the stats, I don't get the class. I start off with the general idea of the character that I want, and that may be inspired by another character that I saw in a movie or a song that I listened to recently. There's a lot that can inspire in me a character. I've actually got a set of cards sitting right here that is dedicated to, like, they're a bunch of question cards. You draw them and you answer whatever question is on the card, and I like to run through those every now and then as basically a way of interviewing characters that I've created to better
Mm-hmm.
understand them. But I could very easily see it being a very good way of also building a character from the ground up. Just answer each question, being like, what would be the most interesting answer for this question? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how. I mean, technically, that's the first thing that I do. And then whenever I get into the class, it's very heavily dependent on how I'm wanting to play each character. So again,
Mm-hmm.
going to the ranger that I recently started playing, I built him specifically in mind with adventuring, with the idea of adventuring based off of the information that I gathered from a video that I've recently watched by a YouTuber, or well, on a YouTube channel called Shadiversity, done by a YouTuber named Shad. Uh, really good, really, really brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely would recommend his content. He's very well versed in medieval uh, well, combat and weaponry, but he also studies a lot of other medieval style stuff, castles, equipment, clothing, and he looked into the ranger, and he figured out that the ranger is actually a very, very useful occupation historically. Even today, we still use it. You know, park rangers, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and D&D just doesn't look at them the way, or players in D&D anyway, don't look at them
Mm-hmm.
the way that we should. So, because of that, I've decided, I actually say at the start of every uh, session that I intend to make Rangers relevant again. Um, that's just fun to it's been a fun puzzle to work around with the Rangers, you know, stereotypically being so terrible as a class. I
Mm-hmm.
want to make them more, and it's actually come quite in handy because I chose beasts for my favored enemy at level 1, and
Mm-hmm.
already that has come into play many times. We've encountered a lot of beasts, and I personally have a lot of information to share um, on beasts. I know a lot about real world animals, so I can put that into D&D. I understand that, like, sharks are really good for food, and we encountered a shark, but the thing is, it was
Mm-hmm.
really hard to wrestle. So I figured it wouldn't be worth it. Unfortunately, the rest of the party was too stubborn and stupid and stereotypical D&D party to care, and they wrestled the shark and caught it, so at least we had food. But I was still kind
What's
of like, okay, guys, okay. And then, or what were you gonna say?
I'll say what's interesting is that I saw a video like you said using like real world knowledge about things in D&D. It made me realize think of the video I saw earlier. It was about using like insight and using intelligence for the role because this person had what they said they had autism, so they have that categorized way about how people act and everything, so they have that all memorized and can tell with insight with their intelligence. And basically using that real world information and their
That's interesting.
um that system like that in D&D, and I think that's an interesting thing. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I definitely love taking what many people would not consider important information or anything really that's they things that they wouldn't consider important for a game and just
Yeah.
making it the most relevant thing possible.
Yeah.
Again, with the whole information with the beasts, we encountered the lizards, which I actually asked, do they have scaly or more leathery hide? And turns out they were scaly. Now, this would have no impact on actually dealing damage to the creatures, but I did point out that because they were scaly, I would lose my arrows because scales are thick and difficult to push through, that the arrow would
Hmm.
puncture and hurt the creature, but in the process, the arrow would shatter and break, and I would lose arrows. If it were
Oh wow.
leathery, that probably wouldn't happen. You know,
Hmm.
we also encountered giant snakes, two of them, and after dealing with the first one, I went up to the other one and grabbed it by the back of the head, basically paralyzing its head open so that they could, you know, easily attack it. I understood you always go for the back of the head of a snake, so
Hmm.
I grabbed with both hands the back of the snake's head, and we won the fight. I was like,
Nice, nice.
I know. I'm like, I understand uh, how real world creatures work, and I'm trying to implement that in this game, and that's something that
Yeah,
I find
I
it is
think that's
very.
cool. So,
I think it's very important to note that no character has to be the same, so long as when you go to create said character, you put emphasis where on like their strengths and weaknesses. Like
hmm.
my character, it quickly was revealed we encountered a spider, and instantly my character reflexed at disadvantage, shot an arrow at the spider, and then ran off and hid for the rest of the fight.
See, now that reminds me of the thing with Thordis again from the
I know,
first episode.
right? I know, right? But yeah, that's because my character is terrified of spiders because he grew up in a situation where he had to deal with spiders in a negative light, and so as a result, he doesn't like them at
Hmm.
all. So he just will not fight them except when he has to, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
and even then, it would be he'd probably still be at a disadvantage from it because
Yeah.
the big scary eight-legged thing,
Mm-hmm. So he
which
has
makes
to.
perfect sense.
Yeah. So when creating a character, I'm not just going into it thinking, okay, what am I after mechanically? I'm also thinking characteristically, what am I after? Asking the questions, what is their, like, what thing do they do for fun? Like, if I were to
Hmm.
describe myself, I would say, a personality trait that I have is that one that I just picked up recently is that I fiddle with pencils. I twirl them between my fingers because I recently learned how to do that, like efficiently.
Nice.
I know. So that's a little thing you could do, write down for a personality trait for me. And another one, I typically try to come up with something that my characters enjoy for a personality trait, because that
Yeah.
helps me to understand what they like, what a favorite pastime would be. Um, Again, using me as an example, I like to draw. Drawing is one of my favorite things to do. So that's another thing that you could write down that I would, you know, enjoy quite a lot. And that's just another personality trait of me. And then whenever you're
Hmm.
right, obviously you have your bonds, ideals. Those are very important. But I feel like the most important trait of a character is their flaw, because that's what makes them unique. You know? Because every flaw is not quite the same and not interpreted the same between players and characters. Like
Hmm.
with Thordis and my ranger. Again, uh, Thordis, he immediately turned around and smacked the spider druid, and I imagine he probably would have beat the spider. He probably would have fought it.
If he hadn't realized,
Yeah,
who it was,
yeah, he probably would have stood his ground and just beat that thing into oblivion, smote it.
Thor, Thordis would have crushed it. Would have crushed your character.
My character instead ran away. You know, so even just the simple fear of spiders is a difference.
Yeah,
There's a difference there. So always understanding the fine details of your character is very important.
yeah.
And then I'll I'll stop hogging all the talking time, but one more
No,
thing
that's good. I'm not sure what to talk about myself.
that my that I do with my characters again is interview them using these speech cards, or these question cards. But one of my favorite questions that I think is one that we overlook quite a lot: what is your perfect 3-course meal? Nobody
Well,
asks
that
what a
is a good question.
nobody asks what a character's favorite food is. I I think that's a brilliant question to ask any character, you know? Because I was actually
But
playing a
then
very.
again,
What? Sorry?
I was gonna say, but then again, I don't know where and what situation that would ever need to come up though. But
It's
it's a good
it's
question.
it's not very relevant. It may not be very relevant, but it doesn't have to be relevant to the campaign for it to be relevant to the character. Because you can still know, like
True.
it's just small pieces of information that may come up at any given point, right? And
Yep.
if it doesn't, it's still just another piece of information that you know. For example, one of my characters that I created, a wealthy, well-to-do man, tiefling, he ended up, I ended up answering that question in his role, and I came up with the most complex answer I ever could. But to summarize it to its most simplistic form, some sort of seasoned seafood. I believe shrimp was something that I
Mm,
chose early
shrimp is
on,
good.
or for the first meal, and then um, I think the main course. I can't remember what the main course was, but then like that is I can't remember what all he had, what all I had said for, but I didn't write it down either. But basically, I came up with this most complicated answer. But you know, for another character like Mounchi, who we've talked about before, the slime guy.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, he doesn't eat much of anything at all. You know, he's an ooze, so he can just kind of consume whatever is biological. You know, and it'll feed him. You know, so he could just sit there on the
Mm.
grass and just consume from simply touching the grass. And when all the grass is lost its potency, it just move over a few feet and then plop back down, and he's eaten again.
Just starts grazing.
Yep. Basically, he's just, you know, Small
Yep.
questions like that definitely help to flavor the character, not to make a bit of a pun, but they definitely help to flavor your character a bit more.
And it makes them more lifelike.
Yes.
And having like a puppet as a character that really doesn't have much of any of the personality, these little fine details, just makes it feel like a puppet. It just can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not fun that way.
No, it's not.
How about you? Any fine details that you might have that you just find important to your character?
I mean, uh, the creativity side is not my strong suit, despite how much I love to play D&D. I love the RP, and I'm terrible at RP and everything.
I
So
can appreciate that.
it's yeah. So I've not put a whole lot into like fine details, backstory, and a whole lot of stuff like that because
Uh-huh.
unfortunately every campaign I've ever been in didn't do a whole lot with backstories and everything. It was just go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I haven't gotten into backstories that much.
Hmm. You know what? I feel like I've mentioned them enough. I think I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna bring out those question cards, and
Oh boy.
I think in the I don't know if I'll join in or if I could just read them off, but I think I'd like to
Oh,
hear.
I can answer some.
I think I'd love to hear Thordis's answers because I've read these cards. I know all of them uh, fairly decently,
Oh God, Tortoise.
but like I think it would be fun to hear what would Thordis's answers to these questions be. And some of them get really goofy. Like, would you rather have
And
a
some of them I'm
popcorn
really
kernel?
gonna have to think about.
Like some of them, would you rather have a popcorn kernel stuck in the back of your throat or Cheeto dust permanently covering your fingers?
I mean, if it still tastes like Cheetos, I think I'd rather have the Cheeto dust. I
Hey,
think Tortoise would too.
that's pretty brilliant. I can appreciate that. Actually, interestingly, my the Zubard is his name. The what high class, rich guy that I was talking about a minute ago, who had the like insane 3 course meal.
Hmm.
I actually said that he would have the go with the Cheeto dust as well because he figured that he's a bit of a speaker. So popcorn kernel in the back of the throat would be make it a little more difficult for him to talk. And on top of that, he can always wear gloves covering the Cheeto dust
Hmm.
because it just says on his hands. It doesn't say on any gloves. So
Exactly.
yes. So what? Oh, well, this is actually quite a fitting question. So the first question, for this of that I've drawn here fits quite nicely into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Would you rather have a dragon or be a dragon? And in and
What?
because this is Dungeons and Dragons, what type of dragon?
Hmm. I'd rather be a dragon and a black dragon.
You or Thordis?
Oh, yeah, me, Thordis would probably be. Oh God, I don't know what the dragons are. Give me a second.
There are red, white, blue, green, black, um, silver, copper, bronze, gold,
Thoris would
shadow, Dracolich, wyvern.
probably.
Because dragon, yes,
I,
wyvern is under the classification of dragon. Frustratingly so, but I can appreciate why. At least I can understand it.
I think Thoris would be a dragon
Okay.
and a gold dragon
Ooh, that makes sense. That makes a lot of
because he
sense.
started because Gold dragons were the most powerful majestic of the classic metallics. They are wise, lawful good, foes of evil and injustice. Thordis was lawful good, hated everything evil. Um, is very knowledgeable and reclusive. Thordis started out very reclusive. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think Thordis would be a gold dragon.
that makes sense. That just makes a whole lot of sense. The moment you said gold dragon, I was like, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I personally would be a black dragon.
Ah, interesting. Uh, I'm going to actually answer these questions from the perspective of Monchi because I have not done so before, at least not many. Um, Monchi would rather have a dragon. He would have a fairy dragon, and he would specifically have the fairy dragon that one of our lost party members had as a pet.
Oh,
Yes, because that character ended up dying because the player left because they just weren't interested.
uh,
And
oof.
the fairy dragon went to a different player, but I'm sure Monchi personally would want to have that fairy dragon. Me, I think I would also want a dragon, or but dragons can shapeshift, can't they?
Yes,
Okay, maybe I would
yes,
want to.
yes, they can.
I probably want to be. Ooh, oh, 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 oh. Give me a moment. Can D
As
and
far
D?
as I know, dragons can have a humanoid form.
Yeah, they can. They can take on the form of a lot of things. Which, when you realize that they can transform into anything and then breed with anything, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of terrifying when you think dragon bear or dragon dog, dragon snake.
That'd be terrifying.
But
Oh hell no, that'd be terrifying.
yeah, I know, right? Hold on. I want to look this up real quick. Can No, they can't. What is their no, no, I couldn't. I wanted to say wyvern,
What?
but dragons, but their intelligence is unfortunately a 5.
Yeah, wyverns are bestial style. Like
Yeah,
they're not intelligent.
but they
They
are
go off
classified
it.
as dragons still, so.
They are, yes.
I think I would want to go for a green dragon because green dragons feel like they can be pretty mean, but also they're intelligent enough to where they're like you can theoretically reason with them. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like I would be to that point where I would be an especially reasonable green dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and just also like green dragons. They're probably my favorite type of dragon, other than wyvern. All the dragon turtles exist, but I'm gonna go with green dragon.
Dragon turtles are cool.
All right,
Dragon turtles are cool. Yeah.
next question. What is your all-time favorite smell? Monchi. Can Monchi smell? Well,
Does a slime smell? That's a good question.
I'm going to assume that if he can, it would probably be the smell of acid in the morning.
Hmm. Hmm. Um. Huh.
What about Thordis? Thordis got a favorite smell?
Uh. Thor's would probably like the smell of a fresh brewed ale and a decent tavern breakfast.
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that quite a lot.
Yes.
Um, Next question. What is the most scared you have ever been? I think the most scared Monchi has ever been is when his pet gelatinous cube baby, because yes, we have a baby gelatinous cube, and Monchi keeps it inside him at all
What?
times.
A baby gelatinous cube?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It's a homebrewed creature that my DM calls an Athquake cube.
Hmm.
Um, but I believe the most scared he's ever been is whenever Monchi was being uh dropped from a what was it, like 60 feet or something like that, 30, 60 feet, and Lil Bud was inside him, so he yeeted Lil Bud, our little cube, over to our
Yeah.
barbarian to catch him so that he wouldn't be
Nice.
hurt. Because Monchi doesn't really feel fear normally, more curiosity. He is like a child.
Ah. I guess the scaredest Thor's has ever been ties into his backstory a little bit, being child of war sort of thing because he was in the dwarven military at a point. I think he was like the leader of a division protecting an outlying town when an orc raiding group came through and nearly wiped everything out, and Thordis just barely survived with his life.
Ooh, dang.
Yeah, yeah. That's why he ended up going into seclusion and having just on his own for a while
Uh-huh.
before he started adventuring.
Dang. That's deep.
Yeah.
Next question. Win the lottery or find your perfect job? Well, Monchi doesn't really understand the purpose of either, but he does understand that gold can be used to gain magic items, and so he would win the lottery once he understood what the two were.
Yeah. I think for Thordis, he'd probably find his perfect job, and I think technically, if he could work in it while in that campaign, while they were in the city, he would work in the tavern because I feel that's where he would be the happiest when he's not out when he's not out adventuring.
Yeah. Huh.
He would be running a
Okay.
tavern.
Whew. Goodness. I am yawning all over the place. That makes sense, though. Um, that definitely makes sense for Thordis.
Yeah.
Golly, all this talk of this old campaign's making me miss Lorien.
Yeah, I know. I missed the campaign with Thordis.
I
I really want to play it again soon.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
same. All right. Next question. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? So if our characters could change one thing about themselves, what would it be? Monchi doesn't understand enough to want to change anything. Correction. One of two things. He either would want to understand why the heck he has such a weird connection with um or what the heck is going on with his backstory and all that, or
Hmm.
he would want to have as many magic items as he possibly could. Two things he would
Ah.
want to change about himself, because he is a hoarder of magic items.
Oh well. Yeah. Um. I think. Oh God, I don't know what. I guess Thordis would probably change the his loss in his self confidence and try and fix that.
Oh, oh, goodness.
Like he had been working on while we were playing the game.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Next question.
Next question. If you could wake up tomorrow with a new ability, what would it be? Monchi's gonna have to think long and hard on this. And by Monchi, I mean me.
Same.
It's an interesting question.
If you could wake up tomorrow with a new ability, what would it be?
See, the problem with Monchi is that he's such a child that he still is so content with himself. You know? He doesn't know enough about the world to know what he would want to change, but I suppose the one thing that he does know well enough is that he has trouble finding and collecting magical items. So I guess his answer would be to be able to track and collect magic items easier. To have the ability to
Like
do
the
that.
Dragon Ball radar from Dragon Ball Z.
Mm.
That's the first thing that came to mind when you said that.
That was funny.
I'm not sure what ability Thordis would want. I really don't know.
A lot of good options.
Yeah. Thordis would probably want the ability to tell when something's about to go wrong so he can try and fix it.
Spider sense.
More
Sort
like,
of. More like a
yeah.
foresight.
More, yeah, foresight, like future hindsight, so he can, like, fix it, try and work on fixing it before it goes bad.
Yeah. That makes sense. I can appreciate that.
Ooh. Oh, no.
What?
You yawning.
Oh, me yawning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been yawning quite a lot this whole time. It's like, I'm getting tired, but at the same time, I'm enjoying this.
Mm-hmm.
What has been your greatest challenge? Greatest challenge is trying to collect magic items. That's what Monchi's challenge is.
Thordis's greatest challenge is probably might still be slightly, is still getting used to being around people after his many years in seclusion and becoming an outward person again.
See.
Thordis got a lot of deepness to him.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. Very contrasting with Monchi, who's got, who I built specifically to be like a child. He is still very young in the world. As a result, he's just a bit of a child, you know, which I very much appreciate. It allowed me to express myself, my childish ways and nature a bit better, which I think is another thing that goes into character creation, really, is if you're not really sure what you want to do with a character, think about what you might want to explore about yourself as a person.
Yeah.
Because frequently I find that my characters are representative of something that I've been wanting to be able to express or explore as a person, but just haven't had the ability to, you know. Like, again, Monchi is a child. When was the last time I got to be a proper child, you know? I just got to be an innocent little being that didn't know much, didn't understand much. Even if I, as a player, do, the character doesn't. So I get to answer in the most simplistic ways possible. I get to answer with just the first thing that comes to my mind, which is hard for me to do normally. It's interesting.
What's the next question?
Next question. Change gender every time you sneeze or not be able to tell the difference between a muffin and a baby?
I'm sorry, what?
Change gender every time you sneeze or not be able to tell the difference between a muffin and a baby. Guess what? Monchi's genderless. Monchi is an ooze. He has no gender. So I guess he has to go with one answer.
But
I don't know if
a
Monchi can
muffin,
sneeze either.
but not tell the difference between a muffin and a baby?
That's what Monchi has to deal with.
What?
But I don't think Monchi can sneeze either, so that's kind of like a double negative on his side. He's like, can't sneeze, doesn't have a gender. He really can't be that first one.
But why? Why is that a thing?
I told you, these questions get weird.
I am very perplexed.
This is some of the most interesting stuff, though, that it really makes you think, what would your character want, right? You know?
Thordis wouldn't want any.
Let's see, my character actually, Zubard, rich guy,
Yeah.
he actually I actually, in character, went through a whole debate. He was like, I don't know. For a while he just kept going back and forth until he finally decided that he's a speaker, and if he were to sneeze during a speech and all of a sudden his gender changed while he's speaking, that could be very distracting for him and everybody else in the room and ruin his chat, his discussion. And so while he definitely does not like the idea of seeing muffins and babies as the same thing, or struggling to tell the difference between them, he would prefer that one over ruining his occupation, the thing that he has to use to live.
Does that mean if you just see some woman carrying a baby down the sidewalk, you're like, why the hell is that woman carrying a muffin?
Maybe, or it might be you see a muffin and you're like, why is that baby just sitting there? Or you might see a baby and a muffin sitting side by side and being able to, like, I can't tell the difference. I'm not sure which is which.
Well, I guess the way around that is just never eat a muffin.
Yep.
Don't have kids and never eat muffins. I think Thoris would go with that one. Just don't have kids and never eat muffins.
Okay. That's interesting.
I don't know. I can't think of anything else. I'm so confused by that question.
Good. When have you felt the biggest adrenaline rush? I feel like Monchi's biggest adrenaline rush was whenever he really clicked into the murder hobo side of the party.
Oh God.
Yeah, because we're led by a barbarian who's played by a min-maxer.
Oh God, really?
I mean, he doesn't like min-max to where it's like awful, but he definitely min-maxes. So as a result, Monchi, the child, is being raised by the barbarian, the murder hobo. Min-maxing murder hobo. As a result, Monchi has picked up the infernal word for kill and screams it whenever he goes into battle.
Oh dear God.
So, yeah.
I guess Thordis' biggest adrenaline moment would probably, go back to his backstory and how he got to where he was today, or that day. The battle when that town was being raided.
Yeah, interesting. Goodness, there's like such a contrast between Monchi and Thordis. It's so funny.
One's a slime child. The other one's a dwarf haunted by war.
Yep. All right. Last one. I think we should end the questionnaire on this one.
Yeah.
What do you consider to be the greatest accomplishment of your life, Thordis?
Um, I guess Doris's greatest accomplishment would be um the way he was able to um become more of himself over time through adventuring with the group he was with. And as some people left and others joined him, he was able to be more he wasn't introverted anymore. He was becoming more extroverted and more outspoken
Open.
and open. Yeah, thank you. Open, that's the word I was looking for.
I figured as much.
I was
I
just
I
using all
was
this.
I honestly was expecting that. That would make so much sense. That would be the one.
Yeah.
Monchi's greatest accomplishment would be recovering all the stolen magic items that they lost.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you want to know how he did it?
How?
The barbarian had a grudge against a guy who ended up later becoming the leader of a town. We raided the town, killed the leader, and then left with all the magical stuff, while the rest of the people were like, "Okay, cool, get out."
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow, okay.
Monchi doesn't necessarily take credit for being able to reclaim all the magic items, but at the very least, his greatest accomplishment is being able to reclaim all the magic items at all, whether it was by his hand or not. He did contribute, though.
Mm-hmm.
He did contribute.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's our little questionnaire for our characters. That was fun.
Oh god, it makes me really think about the characters.
I know, right? That's why I
Thought
love
I've never
doing
really
it.
put into it.
That's why I love doing it. It really gives your really puts a lot of depth into your characters, the creation process. It
It
makes
really
things
does.
it makes things very interesting and gives you a bit more of a look into the world from your character's eyes. Helps you to better fit into the role of the character. And I always value that.
Right.
And of course, if you need to better fit into the role, you can always do a voice if you feel so inclined. I tend to be the type of
I
person who does voices.
I do not have the self confidence to ever try that. No. Thought about it many times, but I don't think I'll ever do it.
Am I confident in my skills? No. Am I confident in my confidence? Yes.
No. Just no.
My skills are less than uh capable, but
Mm,
I personally don't view that as a problem, and I just go with it.
right.
I don't think I have much more to say on the whole topic of character creation, other than just, I guess,
Same.
do what you feel do what you feel like doing in the moment. Do it your own way. Everybody has their own style of creating characters. Maybe you like to start with your
Right.
class first because it helps give you a general idea of what you can work with. Maybe you're just as creative. You just need a more solidified starting point. Or
Yeah.
maybe you're more like me, where you start with the character, the actual character, and then build them in D&D.
Mhm.
Or maybe you're like Matt, where you still get creative characters, you just go off of the normal process and
Yeah. Create what you feel is right, what you want to do. Play the character you want to play.
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like no character is necessarily wrong. They only become wrong whenever they either stagnate to the point where it's boring, or they're an absolute problem to the rest of the party. Backstabbing rogue,
Right.
lone wolf.
Reminds me of a story my dad told me once about campaigns he's been in when he played like a halfling. I think it was a halfling rogue at one point. Basically, after a while, to his character, the adventuring party became um his family, and if anybody messes with his family, is dead. he it was uh it was a game with rules that allow it, that to the point that if one player became one character, not player, character became an extreme hazard to the rest of the party, he would wait for a long rest and coup de grace,
Oh.
because he'd take
Ooh.
first watch and coup de grace.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah,
Dang, man. That's insane. I mean, that makes sense.
right. You gonna do everything in your power to harm the group, harm the family? I'm getting rid of you as
Yeah.
soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. And every class has their own way of doing that. Trust,
Exactly.
trust, trust me. The one thing you do not doubt about the D&D classes is that they are all family characters. You just got to build them right,
Mhm.
and they all have the power to punish you. Yes, even clerics, objectively the
Yes,
most overpowered class in the game.
they are. Makes me think of, there's no such thing as a healer in D&D.
Yeah,
Clerics wear heavy armor. They're on the front lines. They heal them. They basically just they're meant to heal themselves while they continue to tank the damage. So
yeah,
everybody else who are like the damage dealers can do their job.
yeah. It's not so
There's
much.
no straight real
Yeah,
healer in D&D.
it's not so much
I
that
believe
they
that.
it's not so much that they buff the other players as much as it is they buff
Buff themselves.
themselves so that they can keep taking damage, because theoretically they're just as squishy as like some of the weaker classes, but the thing is, with their
Mhm.
high AC and their ability to heal themselves unendingly, you know, they
Mhm.
could just keep taking hits, no problem.
Mhm. I also think the paladins lay on hands the same way. It's
Yes.
designed to keep them healed
Yeah,
while they keep dealing damage and taking damage.
agreed. The difference is that paladins don't need to use that anywhere near as often.
No, no, they really don't.
They
Because
basically
Thordis is a
have
paladin.
the AC and the hit points to take that damage for a while before they actually need to dip into it. The difference with the cleric is that basically the cleric just stands there and acts like a wall of constantly repairing wall, a self-repairing wall that no matter how many
A
times you hit it, it
wall of
always seems to go back to
steel
normal.
and death. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And then there's
it's
the
yeah. Thordis
barbarian.
was a paladin. So.
And then there's the barbarian. The wall that feels like it should be taking
Yes.
more damage but doesn't, and then it deals even more damage back at you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then you got the monk that'll literally kick the crap out of you.
It's a wall that instead of actually acting like a wall, all the bricks just randomly
It's
shoot out.
Yes, very fast. Then there's
The fighter.
a fighter.
Just your stereotypical barricade.
Yep,
Got some
just straight up.
got some spikes, some rough edges, but also a
Hmm.
good sturdy wall.
Yes.
The ranger is that rock or bush standing off from afar that you didn't realize needed to be punched until it started shooting at you.
I like that. Oh, that's hilarious.
The rogue isn't a wall, it's a shadow that also you didn't realize needed to be punched until it started stabbing at you.
Hmm. Well, what about the sorcerer?
The sorcerer is that wall of wind, fire, water, earth that it just suddenly appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
The wizard is
Wizard?
that wall of force energy that just constantly
Yes.
deflects your attacks back at you. Shield. Shield spell.
Yes. Shield, counterspell,
Uno
dispel magic.
reverse
Um,
card know you.
fireball. It's just fireball. It's the wall that shoots fireballs.
Yep, basically.
Um,
druid. You got druid, which is basically the wall of animals.
yes, the wall of animals, absolutely. That what about Music Man, the bard?
Bard, there is no wall, only sound
True.
and
It's that
permanent
m-
and permanent dancing.
it- it's that creepy music you hear in the middle of the night in the darkness of the woods.
Yeah, it's the wall in your head slowly creeping closer and closer. The wall of shadow that slowly tells you that you're worthless and pointless and not worth the world.
Vicious mockery.
Or Crown of Madness.
I used Crown of Madness once before.
It gets freaky.
Yeah. Um,
Artificer is that
like,
wall that suddenly built itself, Fortnite style.
what about the mechanical dog that's with it, or the artillery gun?
That got
The
added in the
artillerist, or the
process.
yeah, that just spawned out of the wall's shadow. It's not gonna repute a new one.
The wall was finished, and then suddenly a hatch opened and a barrel shot out. Oh wait, no, that's a cannon firing a ball of steel at you.
I gotta go. Okay. I think we went through them all.
Nope, Warlock.
Warlock, yes.
You missed.
Keldor.
Warlock is the wall that you didn't create, but the gods created for you.
The wall of darkness and tendrils. Hunger of Hadar.
Or Eldritch Blast.
Yes. The wall of darkness and tendrils from Hunger of Hadar, and that shoots Eldritch Blast.
Yep. Okay, now I think we
Oh.
covered them all. Unless okay, I don't know Blood Hunter well enough.
Neither do I. That's the one from that's Critical Role's content.
From what I've heard, it's Bloodborne but D&D.
Probably because you do damage to yourself to give yourself extra power and with your attacks and stuff.
Bloodborne but D&D.
Yes.
Anyway, that was a fun little thing to end on, I would say.
Right?
Just a fun little side rant.
All the classes as walls that'll beat the life out of you.
Absolutely. Or let each other beat the life out of you while they just absorb your life. Or just give it back to themselves.
Exactly.
It really depends on what wall you're facing with.
Exactly. I was always told, like in like gym class in school by the gym teacher, if somebody accidentally ran into the wall or tripped and hit the wall, he always said, if you're gonna pick a fight with the wall, remember the wall will always win.
Yes, I've heard that before, and it's so true. That is every D&D party. I have to say though, my favorite wall is the ranger, the bush or stone that you didn't realize needed to be punched until it started shooting at you.
I guess my favorite wall, as we're calling them now, would probably have been the paladin.
That makes sense.
Paladin and cleric, probably.
That makes sense. The self-healing wall.
The smiting wall.
Yes.
The wall that's gonna smite you. Literally every smite: searing, thunderous, burning, wrathful.
Know you.
Yes.
But yeah. Alright. I think that's
Well, I'm trying to think of a spell that would basically be the epitome of know you.
what is it called? There is one. I know it. What is it?
Uh,
I don't remember, but there is a monk ability that is know you, where if you deplete the damage of a projectile to below
yeah,
zero,
that's,
then you can just catch it and throw it back.
give me just a second. That's deflect arrows, deflect projectiles, I think.
Yeah, deflect missiles.
Deflect missiles. Thank you. It was one of those 3. I can count.
Many.
But yeah, you can, regardless, you can still throw it back, according to its description, but you can catch it and roll a die to reduce the damage, and you can completely deplete it
But you have to
and still turn the turn around and throw the arrow right back at him as a reaction.
do that. You can only throw it back if you deplete the damage to 0.
Oh yeah, yep, you're right. I'm looking at it now.
Yep.
Yeah, if you completely reduce its damage, you can just no, you.
Yeah. Actually, while on the note of classes and character building, if we want to get technical, um, fighters are just as good at melee punching as monks.
Tavern brawler, improvised weapons.
I forget how I specifically did it. Let me pull up the character sheet real quick.
Cool.
What was it?
It was over there.
I believe I took. Hold on. Oh, it was the name of the character was Rendi. There it is. Oh, is that right? Oh yeah, I think that's right. That's right. So, you take the let's see. Let's start with features and traits class. So you take the fighting style, unarmed fighting style, which boosts your damage to
Oh
a
yeah.
1d6. Also, you take the fighter class because that's the one that gets the extra attacks. So every plus action surge plus second wind, you know. So like, oh wait, no, second wind is just a healing. But you know, still.
Hmm. I don't know why, but when I thought about action surge without reading it, I keep thinking that um if you use action surge, the way it's written, you only get one extra attack action. You don't get your full attack round back.
Wait,
And
what?
I, for whatever reason, action action surge, you get one extra attack action. You don't get your full round. Like if you're like above level 5,
No,
you don't get your
You
two
get one
extra attacks.
additional. You can take one additional action, which means that if you have like, uh, if you attack as an action, you know, then second wind bonus action, you can then use action surge for nothing, except a short rest, and then you basically get to perform one other action or bonus action, which in that case, I would just say, like if I have extra attack by this point, I would just say, action surge, and then do my unarmed attack, my unarmed strikes, because that would put me at 4 attacks in one turn, like
Hmm.
the you know, like the monk.
The way I read it, it's you get one on your turn. You can take one additional action. An attack action is only one attack,
Uh-huh.
which
Yes.
makes me think that you can attack, use your second attack, use action surge, and then you get a third attack.
You get 2 more attacks. Because the way extra attack works is when you take the attack action, you get 2 attacks instead of 1. So
See, that's what I was misreading.
when you declare, I want to use my action to perform the attack action, extra attack then
Okay,
takes
yeah,
effect
I
and
feel like
says, instead of only performing 1 attack like most classes have to do, you are allowed to take 2 attacks for for an action, a single action. That's what extra attack
I
does.
forgot. I forgot that's how extra attack works.
Yes.
I was thinking it
So
was
it's
2 separate attacks
no, it's
instead
basically
of 2 attacks under your entire action.
a stacking multi-attack. Every time you get a
God, I
new
swear I
extra.
should know that. I played a paladin for almost a year or
I
better.
know, right?
They have extra attack. Okay. Yep. Total confusion.
So there's also another thing. Mobile. You should also take the mobile feat, right? Because that will
Mhm.
increase your speed to 10 feet. When you use the
Mhm.
dash action, difficult terrain doesn't cost you extra movement. And when you make a melee attack against a creature, you don't provoke attack of opportunities for the rest of the turn from that creature, whether you hit it or not.
Oh, yeah.
AKA, you
Yeah.
basically get the effect of what one of the effects, I think, Way of the Drunken Master Flurry of Blows,
Mhm.
which, like, friggin' you're basically building a monk without using the monk class, and it's freaking awesome. Because you can then use your
Wow.
strength instead of your dex,
Mhm.
which can get broken at times because then you can also use your acrobatics, you know? Your armor class sucks, but whenever you can move 40 feet a turn, if you're in a tabaxi, you can move, like, what is it, 80 feet a turn?
I don't know. Never looked at a tabaxi yet.
Let me remember how a tabaxi works. See, now we're getting to actual character building, and this is important, people. This is important. Take notes. Take notes. When you're building a character, this is how you, if you want to min max, this is how you min max. I don't normally min max, but when I do,
Neither do I.
when I do, I can break the game. Feline agility,
Why
your
does it sound like a
reflexes and
commercial?
agility. Your agility allows you to move with burst of speed. When you move on your turn in combat, you can double your speed until the end of your turn. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you move 0 feet on one of your turns. Right, right. So basically, every other turn you can move 80 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, if you take the mobile feat, fighter, and totally get away scot free, right?
Mhm.
Just for using your action. Like, monks have to spend key points, which are precious resources to do all this. And there's a chance that some of their key points will fail on certain things, right?
Yeah, like the stunning strike.
Mm-hmm.
That can still fail.
Fighters, even if they fail, they still don't provoke attack of opportunity for the rest of the turn, just from throwing
Mhm.
one punch, you know?
Mhm.
Which means if you use your action surge and have extra attack, right? You can throw a
Mhm.
punch at 4 different creatures, and none of them can provoke attack of opportunity from you.
Wow.
Then you can move 80 feet away from them all, and then whenever your turn comes back around, they won't be anywhere near you. So you can run straight back in, punch them all again, and even if you miss, you can get away scot free. Right? Or actually, technically, you would have to wait a turn moving 0 feet, but that doesn't matter because they're all 80 feet away from you. So that at best, they probably have like what 30 feet of movement if we're talking average creatures, you know? Meaning that the
Mhm.
closest they can get is like 50 feet away from you. So you can
Mhm.
run in 50 feet, bop them all in the face, and then run straight back another 80 feet away. Another, yeah, 30 feet. Something like that. Probably
But
your
really,
best bet would be to
what's
move 40 feet in, then 40 feet out. Because even if they use their full 30 feet to get to you, um, they would be 10 feet away.
mhm. What I always find like just kind of like mind-boggling is like the speed of the characters to move when you get up to that fast. 80 feet and each turn, an entire turn order is 6 seconds.
Yes.
You moved 80 feet somewhere between 1 and 6 seconds.
Hmm. And consider all
That
of
is
consider all
that
of
is extremely fast.
consider all of this, right? Monks have to spend precious resources to do any of that, but a fighter built properly just has to use an action.
Mm-hmm.
All they have to do is use one action. I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't see a reason to use monks anymore. I totally see a reason to use monks, but point stands.
Yeah.
You can break the game, and I really want to bring in this character at some point that I've built. I don't have the tabaxi on them, but I absolutely want to do this build at some point with a tabaxi,
Mm-hmm.
because that would be just hilarious.
Speaking of the monk and fighter thing, just I see everywhere in like videos, even yes on TikTok, people do skits like the monk fighter with action surge who's been hasted.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Oh my! Give that, make that a goblin, Fury of the Small.
Oh my god. Oh, that's just not right. That's evil.
It's brilliant, my friend. It's brilliant.
Yes. Yes. Brilliantly evil.
Hold on.
Yeah.
How many? It takes 2 levels into Rogue, you can get Cunning Action.
Oh no.
Can we just quickly break D&D? I think we should stop before we go too far and start giving the entire world ideas.
Oh god, that'd be
Not
horrible.
that somebody probably hasn't thought of this already. Oh, but this is
Right.
This is actually interesting because real quick, I don't know what the cause of it is. I would have to look deeper into it. Um. Oh wait, your unarmed strikes. Here it is. Due to unarmed fighting style, your unarmed strikes can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus 5 on, or plus, I assume your strength modifier on a hit.
Yeah.
If you aren't wielding any weapons or a shield when you make the attack roll, the d6 becomes a d8. Well, it's an unarmed strike, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Literally, there's a second version of this titled Unarmed Armed. It's unarmed strike, in parentheses, armed.
Oh god.
But anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's basically how we build our characters. Sometimes we'll go off the rails and build the most broken characters we possibly can, but typically we like to build some weaker characters so that we can just have fun with them. And if they die, they die. That's not on anyone's. That's not anybody's fault. We just built them to be proper characters.
I'm not sure if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but I've never experienced a character dying.
Same, actually. Actually, no, that's not true. But I was playing Tomb of Annihilation at the time, so
Oh yeah, those characters.
I'm
Ruxel
like,
just ran off into the jungle.
I don't really count that.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I was going through a lot of characters. I was trying to learn what type of characters I like to play.
Yeah. I like to assume that after I left at that point, because I had to stop because work, I like to assume that Gruxel just had enough of everybody's crap and just ran off into the jungle to live.
Yeah.
I don't know what actually happened because I wasn't there.
I don't know what happened. I don't think we did anything, as far as I can remember.
Wow, it's almost been 2 hours already.
Yes, yes. A lengthy stream this was. A lengthy episode this will be.
Yes.
But a fun one, too. I think this one is very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, we were definitely all over the place today. We fumbled the intro, and then we were just all over the place.
Chaotic neutrals for a reason.
Exactly.
And with that, I think it's about time that we take ourselves out of here before we ramble any further. So
Yeah, we have that unfortunate issue.
yeah, so thank you all for coming by, watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, thank you all for clicking on this ridiculously lengthy video. And if you guys enjoyed this, please follow Matt, subscribe to my YouTube channel for Matt's stream viewers. That's anime at YouTube. Animatrix Arts. That's it. Animatrix Arts on YouTube.
Yeah.
I also do. I am also on DeviantArt. That's actually where I primarily post. So Animatrix Arts there. Same for Twitter. And yeah, if you're watching this again on YouTube, like, subscribe, and if you are watching this on YouTube, come say hi on Friday nights from let's see, I guess 10 to 11 Eastern time. That's right. If that's right.
So far it's basically 10 to almost midnight.
We
at
start
this
at
point.
we start at 10
Eastern.
Eastern time.
And then we stop where we stop.
Yeah. So like we tend to stop before 12.
At least try to.
Yeah. So anyway, but
Well,
at least come say hi and enjoy the streams. Give Matt some follows because he needs it. We all need the social stuff.
Yeah. And to all those who watched the stream, thanks for joining us for this long-winded fumbling about of D&D talk. I appreciate everybody joining, and perhaps we'll see you 2 weeks. So it was fun. Happy everybody joined, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. We rolled concentration checks and we failed them all.
Miserably.
Bye.
See ya. God, we almost kept on going again.